Shall we go into Rolling Rooks?
Yes.
Let's go into Rolling Rooks here. Rolling Rooks segment, normally we're highlighting some of these top, rookie performances from the previous week, but we're taking a little bit of a spin here. Let's talk about these rookie wide receivers because they're lighting up the NFL. Every week I feel like I'm talking about a rookie receiver. And with that being said, I think it's an opportunity to kind of redraft the 2019 NFL draft, specifically looking at receiver and what order you would draft them in, knowing what we know now. Starting with number one, it's obvious. A.J. Brown, Tennessee Titans wide receiver, former Ole Miss product, has been absolutely on fire ever since really Ryan Tannehill took over and they stopped giving his snaps to Tajay Sharp. Guy's great route runner, big, physical through contact, making plays after the catch. It's all what we saw at Ole Miss.
Yeah, so let me set the stage here. A.J. Brown, if we were redrafting, yes, he'd be the number one. That one's, in my opinion, a no-brainer here. But just with our rankings, top 10, how we had it heading into the draft last year. Number one, we had DK Metcalf, was our 17th overall player. Number two, we had A.J. Brown, was our 20th overall player. Number three, we had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who was our 23rd overall player.
It's Arcega, by the way.
I know. Number four, we had Andy Isabella, who was our 30th overall player. Number five was Marquis Brown at 31. Hakeem Butler, number 6. Oof. Debo Samuel was number 7.
Where is Hakeem Butler? Is he?
On IR, actually. Okay. Number 8, was that where we're at? Number 8, Nikhil Harry. He was 61st overall player on our board, which, God, why did we do that one? Number 9 was Riley Ridley at 71, and number 10 was Deante Johnson at 77. So that was how our board shook out when it was all said and done. Thankfully, on that, no Paris Campbell, no guys like that who have not been getting the job done.
Some hits, some misses
but
there.
Definitely some misses going along.
It's still too early to tell, but there are some receivers that you watch right now that knowing what I've seen, yes. I think I would have reorganized some things.
So that's what we're doing now. And number one, so A.J. Brown, second-ranked wide receiver, he's number one right now. I mean, over 800 yards, multiple 100-yard games in the season. Once Ryan Tannehill has come in there at the quarterback position, he has been easily their number one receiver. Like, the dude has been dominating back-to-back 100-yard games, multiple touchdowns over that span. Like, he looks like a number one receiver. He's 893 yards. He's going to have 1,000 yards this year.
It's insane. I mean, I think what I've been really impressed with is that he's winning as an outside receiver. I know before this past year, he played a lot in the slot, and people saw him as a slot type, but he's winning at outside wide receiver. I think he's running routes and winning at all areas of the field, something that you really covet at the receiver position. Can you create separation in man coverage at the intermediate and deep levels of the field? If you can't, if you're Nikhil Harry, you're going to struggle in the NFL. A.J. Brown proving great hand usage on the routes, crisp. It's all of that stuff.
That's the thing. It's like with bigger dudes, you worry about them being able to get locked up and not being quick enough at the line to, get that little inch of separation and then separate from there. That we've seen Nikhil Harry get locked up a ton at the line of scrimmage. A.J. Brown, shifty enough that he can get off press coverage, and then he's so physical that if you got a step on you, you're not going to make it back because he's just too big. He's
17 forced missed tackles after the catch too. I think that's tied with Debo Samuel for the most among rookie wide receivers, which is impressive. Let's go to the number 2 here. Let's bring up Terry McLaurin, who right now leads all rookie receivers in overall grade and PFF receiving grade, but he does have 7 drops on the year, which I think makes it more impressive because you lose some of those drops and his receiving grade gets even higher. He has been very impressive with a very bad supporting cast. A.J. Brown elevated a bit by Ryan Tannehill, who I believe is a top 5 passer in PFF passing grade down the stretch here. But now Terry McLaurin is playing well with the combination of Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, etc.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin 20th in yards per route so far this season. Actually, I forgot to drop down A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's 3rd in the NFL in yards per route. That's absurd. But yeah, Terry McLaurin 20th in yards per route, 833 yards, like you mentioned. Terrible quarterback situation. To me, he was just coming out of Ohio State. So I missed him. He was 8th on our board. He was number. I had these all mixed up how I had him, but he was 8th on the board. That's my bad. He was 8th, number 68 overall. So we were higher on him than where he went, obviously, in the draft, going in the 3rd round. But the hardest thing was you have to see guys catch the football, and he didn't catch the football a lot at Ohio State. Like, you have to see them to know what their ball skills are going to be like in the NFL, and he wasn't featured in that offense. It kind of goes back to what we talked about in the Haskins Fields conversation. They weren't targeting go routes, post routes down the football field. Terry McLaurin was exclusively an outside receiver in that offense. He was pumping it to KJ Hill, pumped it to Paris Campbell. Terry McLaurin, an afterthought, falls to the 3rd round. Now he looks very much unlike an afterthought. I love the sort of the route tree that they run him on. Is a intermediate, deep, full route tree, and he is
And he's killing it.
Killing it.
He's absolutely killing the routes. I mean, we talked about him. We talked with him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Guy is a very smart dude. Is prioritizing, expanding his route tree. Watches film a ton. He talked about his Darius Slayton matchup, saying it's a chess match. I think that level of attention to detail to his routes shows up on tape. He's not just fast. I think that's a big thing. He's not just fast. He's a very smart player that I think is going to get better even moving.
And
forward.
He's big. He's 208 pounds. 4.35 speed at 208 pounds. He's not like he's not Philip Dorsett at 185 coming out, where it's just like, oh man, he can just go deep. He's got a full route tree, like I said.
14 of 26 on contested catches too, which is not a bad percentage there. Which is, you look at AJ Brown, only 6 receptions on 20 contested catch opportunities, a little bit better in that regard. Let's go to number 3. Who would redraft? DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf, number 3. So
I think
he was number 1 coming in.
Way different, in my opinion, than AJ Brown and Terry McLaurin. I think DK Metcalf, though I think the production has been good. I'm still not super impressed with his route tree. I'll tell you that. So
here's the thing: you're never going to be impressed with this route tree. But it's the route.
Well,
tree.
I'm upset. Okay.
The routes that he does win are the most valuable routes. Again,
True.
It comes back to that, and that's why he was our number 1 receiver coming out. And we had a debate between him and AJ Brown about who to put first. And I thought AJ Brown had more potential to be a number 1 receiver, but DK Metcalf was a sure thing in terms of go balls,
deep routes,
double moves, deep routes.
If he doesn't run a good whip route, I'm not taking it. You can't have that. No, because a whip route on average is not getting you the same value as a deep route from the slot. Like
exactly. He just was going to be
That's a good comment,
sure
dude.
thing on those routes in terms of 264, 230, runs a 4.33. Like he was just going to be absurdly explosive. If you lose a step on him, you're never going to make it back. And he's proven that, again and again in that Seahawks offense, averaging 15.8 yards per catch, already 819 yards, 6 touchdowns, had one this past week. That's just going to be.
I think that's a great conversation point. Talk about how the analytics and the tape can kind of marry or intertwine.
He's still only 21, I think. Like he's still young, so
talking about
maybe it gets more flexible.
There's that cliche with receivers and
do some yoga
and scouting receivers is that you can run every route on the route tree, which is great. I think it's definitely valuable, but can he run all the big routes, the most valuable routes, those deep routes, posts, obviously go balls, all of those things? Can he win at the deep and intermediate level of the field? Because if he can't, I don't care if he can run every route on the route tree. If he can't consistently win at that area of the field, I can't win with him because he's not going to be as valuable as a guy like DK Metcalf, who maybe can't win on those whip routes, those short kind of breaking routes there, but he can win deep down the field, and he's shown that for Seattle. And it does help here. You talk about Terry McLaurin doesn't have a great quarterback situation. Russell Wilson's literally the highest graded quarterback in the NFL. He's dropping dimes.
He went to a place where they're going to fit that in their offense. So yes.
Let's go to Marquis Brown at number 4. He hasn't, since that week 1 game where he just torched everybody, he hasn't had a ton of splash plays, but he's catching a ton of touchdowns. And I think you still see it when you watch the tape, you turn it on, this guy can create separation at an elite level.
Yes.
I think in the Baltimore Ravens offense, they don't funnel targets to the receivers a ton. They hammer tight ends and and things like that. But I think Marquis Brown, at least from a tape standpoint and the limited plays he has caught the ball, he's been impressive.
Exactly. He's averaging more yards per route than Terry McLaurin right now. He's 17th in the NFL in yards per route. Like they don't pass a lot.
Talking about winning the valuable routes, Marquis Brown can just completely blow you away.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's 43 catches, 563 yards, 70.5% of his targets he's caught. So that's a good number. And also 8 broken tackles after the catch, also a very good number. Like he has translated to the NFL. People were worried, he's 160 whatever pounds he weighed at the combine because he had just had surgery. No, now he's up to 170. His game has translated to the NFL. He's basically as advertised. Like if you were going to taking him where we would have took him, like I said, he was like 30th play on our draft board. We would have taken him where the Ravens took him, and I think it was a good pick. Like he looks every bit like he's going to be a good deep and intermediate threat wide receiver. Yes, congrats.
Let's go to number 5, Debo Samuel. I think he's an interesting player largely because his usage is a little bit different than some of the guys we've mentioned. Just a 7.6 average depth of target. He's targeted more near the line of scrimmage than Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, etc. But he's getting the job done after the catch, averaging 8.2 yards after the catch per reception, 17 forced missed tackles. He's the guy that they drafted Jalen Hurd and Debo Samuel. Jalen Hurd, the former high school and Tennessee running back. They're like, this guy's got that running back hybrid ability. Debo Samuel. That never made sense. Jalen Hurd was a big tight end / wide receiver playing running back for far too long.
Debo Samuel, I know Jalen Hurd played running back at Tennessee.
Yes.
I would put Debo Samuel at running back before I ever put
100%. I had that take as well. He has that like Ty Montgomery type of feel to him.
Well, I mean, that's his body type. He's 5'11", 215. Like he is built like every running back, in the NFL is basically built like that. Is the prototypical running back size. And at South Carolina, they used him a ton in the screen game. He broke something like, I think he broke 20 tackles on 60 catches last year, 21 tackles, on 62 catches last year. He's just always been absurdly good after the catch, 18 on 59 catches back in 2016. That's been his calling card, and I don't know why they double drafted, but maybe it's like draft 2 to make sure you get one. They definitely got one in Debo Samuel. He is great in that sort of role where just get the ball in his hands and he will make something happen.
Drops have been a little bit of an issue. 10 drops on the year, but
they were an issue in college though.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see them as an ongoing problem. 5 of 10 on contested catch situations. Again, I'm in love with his versatility. I mean, he can run all of the short and intermediate routes you need from a receiver to get open underneath that can do damage after the catch. Debo Samuel does that and then some. And that's what, if you have a guy that's very good after the catch, I think having a guy that also can create separation at that level of the field is very important because you don't need to force him screens. So here's an example. Nikhil Harry, great after the catch. Forces missed tackles, can do things after the catch, but he's not great running slants. Like you can't get him even open 4 or 5 yards down the football field. So. You can with Debo Samuel, and then guess what? He's already 10 yards down the football field when he has to break his first missed tackle. That's very important and very valuable. A little bit of a rant on my hand. I don't mean to bring up Nikhil Harry again, but sometimes it just has to be brought up.
What a bad pick, Bill Belichick.
Jeez.
Oh, God.
We just damaged Bill Belichick. All right, let's go to number 6. We both love this guy coming out. I mean, I think you texted me first saying, "Dude, watch Deante Johnson of Toledo."
My biggest regret in the draft board was that I still let Steve only put him at 70. Whatever.
Should we go bring Steve in? Damn it, just body bag season. Okay, Deante Johnson, anyway, he has struggled a bit with drops this year. He's also fumbled the ball a couple times, but I will say this, watch this guy create separation.
That's a boneheaded plays.
Yeah, he had some boneheaded plays. I mean, that was was some of the character stuff there, but what he's done as a route runner, and then also after the catch, I've been really impressed with.
He has 8 broken tackles over the last 2 weeks on 11 catches.
That's insane. Yeah. And he had that one he took the reverse field. I think we didn't see a ton of that at Toledo. I think
that's what he was. He wasn't breaking tackles because guys were so far away.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You didn't see a ton of forced missed tackles because he was just creating separation at will. Yeah. And here he's still doing that, but they're getting him involved behind the line of scrimmage because they know he has that dynamic ability.
Yeah, he had that punt return as well.
Oh yeah, he returns punts for them too.
So I do think he's still, he came out early out of Toledo. He declared early, had another year of eligibility. I think he's still kind of a work in progress, still a little rough around the edges, but like you mentioned, great route runner, great separation ability, and we're starting to see that shine through here as the season goes on.
I'd be interested to talk to some veteran corners about how they're going against Deante Johnson because I think they've
shown did a nice rep against
Tre'Davious White, which is good. I'd be interested to see because I mean he's an older guy too, 24 years old. I think 23, 24 years old that I think has. Needs to get kind of good in a hurry, but I think he's getting better every week. That forced missed tackle ability, very impressed with as well. Let's go to Mecole Hardman, the next guy on the list here. He leads all rookie receivers in yards after the catch per reception on a smaller sample size, though. This guy, similar to Marquis Brown, is a firework and a guy that can really stretch the field, explosive play waiting to happen.
And also similar to DK Metcalf, he went to the perfect situation in terms of usage. Like he's still not
the next Tyreek Hill. He's not. He was never that.
He's not quite. And yeah, he's still not in terms of like ball tracking down the football field, not perfect. He's not great at that. Only 25 catches all year, but averaging 20.3 yards per catch. He has speed and utterly dynamic after the catch, and that's a good combination to have. Like no matter who you are, I feel really bad about where we ranked him back in the day because I remember
giving you some pushes like, "Hey, Mecole Hardman looks pretty good."
I know, like and once they getting the ball in his hands, he is very dynamic. Like you said, the ball skills aren't Tyreek Hill level. Tyreek Hill will win 50-50 balls. I don't see that ever being Hardman's game, but in that offense, they do a lot of basically kind of like spot routes where it's like, "Hey, you run to X position to be on the football field." And if you're fast, it's tough to guard. So yeah,
what were some of your reservations with Hardman coming out?
I didn't love like I said, I didn't think he would win or track balls well down the football field. I thought if you were to run him,
he already has a small catch radius.
If you were to run him as an outside receiver and run him down the football field, I didn't think he would win a lot of those sort of go balls. Even if he did have steps on guys, I didn't think he would track it well enough to haul those in, sort of like a Mike Wallace sort of situation. But that's not how they're using him. They're using him a lot more in the slot and a lot more in sort of off the line of scrimmage stuff.
Let's go to number 8, our lowest graded rookie receiver in the NFL right now, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Pour one out for that guy. He has had a rough start to the NFL. Let's start with this. I know you loved him coming out. We both liked him coming out. He showed good releases at Stanford. He had great contested catchability at Stanford, specifically in the red zone. What has gone wrong?
Yeah, so part of it is just a lot of his production was, literally trust with the quarterback in terms of, hey, I'm not open, but you got to throw it to me. You got to throw me open here. And then I will win it. That hasn't, I don't think Carson Wentz has given him pretty much any of those opportunities. He doesn't have the box out end zone touchdowns, doesn't have a lot of the go ball back shoulder stuff. That's just hasn't been a part of the Eagles offense. And so that was, 75%, not 75%, but half his production last year was those sort of routes. And so if you're not on the same page with the quarterback, all of a sudden there you go, zap, a good deal of his production. Obviously Carson Wentz not playing great football here down the stretch himself, but Arcega-Whiteside, I think even when he has had a few contested situations, has not been good, not on the same page, had, a crossing route where he's not hitting his landmarks, things like that. I think you see a lot of rookie mistakes from him. I still, when I watch him, in one-on-one sort of situations, there's still nice, clean release sometimes the outside where he's not getting targeted. You still see the skill set there. He's definitely just hitting some of those rookie sort of just adjustments to the offense.
But you expect him maybe in year 2, year 3 to get better and potentially start to build that confidence with Carson Wentz or whoever the
Yeah, like I said, he's still getting good release at the line of scrimmage. He's not Nelson Aguilar by any means in terms of the mistakes he is making at this point in his career. So
I can't. Every time I hear Nelson Aguilar, I think of that video with the guy catching babies or whatever. That's just too good. All right, Darius Slayton. This is a guy that I don't even think we had anywhere near the top of our boards coming out, but he has played very well in New York, which I would even call a not ideal quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But he's done a very
good
job.
But he was the number one also there for to month.
He has the volume, the target volume there. But what I've been impressed with most is his ability to win down the football field.
Yeah.
He wins at the line of scrimmage. He's fast enough to get open deep, and he's tracking the ball well.
Yeah, that's the thing is I didn't see him running a full route tree. Obviously, not a lot of people did either because he's a fifth rounder. But I know he was athletic. I know he was fast, but his production deep wasn't great even at Auburn. And like I said, I didn't think he ran a lot of routes great, and I think that's been very different. His vertical route tree has been much better than we saw last year at Auburn. I still don't think the full route tree. He's run either basically slants. A lot of his production slants or goes, or double move goes, stuff like that has been a lot of his production. So still a little bit limited. That's why I have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside still ahead of him. Still believe the priors still matter. I'm going to go with Arcega. And then but ninth, he's moved way up since, just in terms of what I've seen from this year compared to pre-draft rankings.
Speaking of priors matter, Andy Isabella at number 10,
yes.
9 receptions for 140 yards, 4 first downs, 3 forced missed tackles after the catch, and a touchdown. He has just not had the opportunity, but you still believe in him as a prospect. He just needs to see the football field. Why do you think the Cardinals are not letting him? It's not like they have a host of receiving talent above him. They're playing Kendall Sheffield and random guys above him. Andy Isabella not seeing the football field. Why?
Yeah, it's odd because, and when he does see the football field, they're almost using him as a gimmick player in a Paris Campbell-esque role, when I didn't even think that was him. I didn't think he was super dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's very fast. And if he has a straight line, he will, beat you to the spot. But I don't think he shook a lot of people even at Massachusetts. So I don't know what their plan for him is. I thought if you drafted him, you'd at least use him in a deep role, but they really haven't. So, but I still, like I said, I still believe he still was very high on our board coming out. So I do think that we'll see. That's just a punt on it. He's only been targeted 13 times all year.
Yeah, we just need a bigger sample size. You need the guy to get some volume here. Can we get some plays, please, Cliff? Cliff, we're asking. Can we get some plays for Andy as well?
Got 2 weeks left. Just see what you got.
Let's go to our last segment here. That's going to do it for the redrafting of rookie receivers. Very impressed with that. I love A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, and this receiving class coming up is also going to be fantastic. There was a ton of receiving talent in this one. I'm really excited for the future of the NFL with Jerry Jeudy coming in, T. Higgins.
It still blows my mind if I think teams will have learned from their mistakes last year, seeing all these second and third rounders go for big numbers and be like, oh, let me go actually grab one of these guys.
Where do you think that comes from, though? Is that people just teams having more confidence?
I think it was, honestly, what I think it was you went 5 years without a first-round pick hitting at wide receiver.
True.
Gun shy. You're just teams see that, and they're like, I don't want to be the next team. I don't want to be
Kelvin Benjamin.
Corey Davis or, Kelvin Benjamin. Well, Kelvin Benjamin was the 14.
Was he a tight end coming out, though?
No, he was the bad pick in the 2014 draft class, that had all the good players.
Kevin White, another one that was drafted. Corey Coleman. There were a handful tall
ton,
receivers
so, yeah.
that I'm sure that people fell in love with. I mean, Corey Coleman was a PFF darling. I mean, people. Sam Monson back there loved Corey Coleman coming out. I felt there is some context to that though. The off-field, the shoe addiction. There's some things there you got to kind of dive into.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.